Welcome to the Dreamlands. We are back with some more Homeworld Remastered multiplayer. This time around, something a little bit different. We are going to have a 2v2, and the map is going to be Sarum Dust Clouds. So, as opposed to the previous two casts, this time around I decided that I'm going to still use the Observer mod because it makes an extra spawn location in the middle of the map, so it doesn't screw up team spawns or anything. And I'm going to put myself on one of the teams and scuttle, which is what I've just done. So as you can see, now I've got yellow for team 1 and red for team 2. So it should make things a lot easier to keep track of, at least in terms of whose units are what. So let's do some player introductions. First up, team 1. We are going to have Avatorian playing as the Taidan. His teammate playing as the Kushan. Oh dear, let's slowly move across the map here. We are going to have Stormhawk playing as the Kushan. So Kushan Taidan team. Team 2 spawning on the opposite side of the map. First up, we are going to have Tomcat Zeno playing as the Higarans. And his opponent on the other side of Team 2, it is going to be Tren playing as the Taidan. So you will remember Avatorian and Tomcat Zeno from my previous two Homeworld Remastered casts. Tren is a player that you should be very familiar with if you follow the content on my channel from Deserts of Karak. Now, I'm going to do my very, very best to keep up with all of the action in this game. First of all, we've got a couple of scouts from Tren and a couple of probes from both Tomcat and Tren. This map is pretty interesting in the sense that you have got a bunch of dust clouds all over the place that you can hide units inside of, and they will prevent the opposing players on opposing teams from seeing them unless they have detection, which is to say units inside the dust clouds. So some nice probe placement as well as a couple of scouts from Tren to keep tabs on the action in this dust cloud on the right side of the map. Meanwhile, what have we got from players? Avatorian still has his carrier beside his flagship. He has saturated the resource pocket directly beside his flagship, and he's beginning to produce interceptors. What has he got over here? He's got two resource controllers, so looking to possibly do some kind of double fast expand build. His opponent, or his teammate, Stormhawk, has moved his carrier to a second resource patch, has saturated that, and saturated his main. No units yet out on the field. We do have another probe from Tren coming in to scout this teammate's play. What have we got from Tomcat Zeno? He has saturated his main. He sent his carrier to another resource pocket here and has saturated that. So kind of a mirrored build to Stormhawk, except he is producing a massive amount of interceptors, hiding them in the dust clouds here. From Tren, what have we got for builds? He has moved his carrier out to the resource pocket and has saturated that after saturating his main. On the back of a couple of scouts, it looks like he has gone into Corvette tech. So that's pretty interesting. Got some light Corvettes on the field, keeping them back. And do we have a resource controller? We do indeed have a resource controller, so it looks like a little bit of an economic opener for pretty much all of the players. Finally, we do have... Alright, so interceptors for Tomcat, Corvettes for Tren, interceptors for Avatorian, and scouts for Stormhawk. So a couple of scouts. No real military units on the map yet for Stormhawk. He does have his research ship. I imagine all players will have their research ship or their research modules to get some tech going. Looks like we have a push coming out from Tren. Gonna get just a bunch of light Corvettes moving out across the map. So on a bigger map like this with a 4-player game, I suspect that it will take a little bit longer for the action to get underway, but we should have a much bigger macro-focused game to showcase for you guys. I'm really, really looking forward to it. Finally, we do have attack bombers as well. So interceptors, bombers for Stormhawk, mass interceptors for Avatorian, light corvettes. Ooh, a ton of corvettes coming out from Tren. Mass light corvettes from Tren and mass interceptors from Tomcat, a second carrier now on the field as well. What is going on up there? A resource collector flying way across the map for Avatorian, perhaps just to get a little bit of scouting going on. What is this? bunch of research ships by the looks of it for, yeah, like 3 research ships for Avatorian. So all players pretty much just focusing on getting their economy up and running. On a big 3-player map like this, you can expect a absolute ton of resources, and Tren has a massive number of light corvettes streaming out across the map, and it looks like we are going to have our first proper engagement of the game as Tren's light corvettes begin skirmishing with the interceptors of Avatorian. We'll have to keep our eyes on this engagement and see what happens. The corvettes should counter all of these interceptors, but there are a ton of them on the field, and it looks like they are successfully focusing down some of Tren's light corvettes. He's bleeding out interceptors pretty heavily, but the numbers advantage is there, so this should be a pretty close fight. I'll have to keep the camera out a little bit so that I can see what's going on. Surprisingly, these light corvettes go down fairly quickly to such a large number of interceptors. Meanwhile, Stormhawk and Tomcat on the other side of the map just have a good old Mexican standoff facing off, letting these 2 players duke it out in the dust cloud. You can see how the dust cloud affects my camera even as I go in. Let's get some nice combat footage as these interceptors swarm around the light corvettes. Let's zoom out a little bit and see how this combat is going. Pretty much at a standstill. There are so many interceptors for Avatorian, and he keeps replacing them. But the light corvettes are proving to be a pretty tough nut to crack. He is losing light corvettes at an alarming rate, however. There are quite a few going down, quite a few damaged. So still at a standstill. Do we have any multi-gun corvettes or heavy corvettes? No, we still have just light corvettes from Tren. So if both of these players keep up with this tech, this battle could go on pretty much indefinitely. Anything going on the other side of the map? Indeed, we do have our first big engagement on the other side of the map as Tomcat Xeno's interceptors go face to face with Storm's interceptor Stormhawk, with a nice big battle around the carrier of Tomcat. I did see bombers as well mixed in with all of Avatorian's forces, so perhaps looking to get some damage done on Tomcat's carrier, and it looks like there is some damage going out onto Tomcat's carrier. Stormhawk reinforcing with light corvettes. Ooh boy, Tomcat looks like he is in a little bit of trouble here. His unit's getting simply overwhelmed. How's the combat going on the other side of the map? Still a brutal fight with the light corvettes facing off against the interceptors, but look at that interceptor swarm, man. Tren needs to get some heavy corvettes or some multi-gun corvettes on the field if he wants to make a dent in this. Meanwhile, on this side of the map, Stormhawk is slowly overrunning and bleeding out Tomcat's forces. Still just interceptors for Tomcat. Sitting on a 3-base economy. Tren sitting on 3 bases by the looks of it as well. Also Stormhawk and Avatorian. So all players pretty much even keel in terms of economy. I think the 2 carrier production here is going to help Tomcat stay in this for just a little while, but his forces are bleeding out pretty heavily. He is being fully overrun. Look at the corvette spam coming out from Stormhawk. Tom is in a shitload of trouble. There are heavy corvettes on the way. He's going to need something big instead of all of these interceptors if he's going to hold. Perhaps he's going to go for that good old Higaran destroyer rush, which is what he likes to do. I know Tomcat, he loves to just spam interceptors and hold off the enemy until he can get destroyers on the field. Currently, Stormhawk is doing a very good job of brutalizing his forces. Tomcat on the losing end of this fight in a big way. He's not moving his carriers out of the field yet, and his 1 carrier is at about half health. So, is that a shipyard? Jesus Christ, we have a shipyard on the field for Tomcat. That is pretty crazy. So he went very, very econ heavy, looking to get a tech build going on, and is paying the price for it. Tren still holding off Avatorian, but the Taidan interceptor spam is very strong, and Tren is bleeding out corvettes in a big way. Is he going to get some frigates on the field or what? We do have the first destroyer on the field, so Tomcat is not out of it yet. If he gets that destroyer over onto this side of the map, it looks like we could have a nice hold from Tomcat. Unfortunately, he looks like he's probably going to lose this one carrier at the very, very least. We have so many corvettes. We've got heavy corvettes, light corvettes, and multi-gun corvettes backed up by a ton of interceptors. And Tom is taking brutal losses on this side of the map. He still has a number of interceptors on the field, so he's not out of it yet. He can buy himself the time to get this destroyer across the map. And then we've got a torpedo frigate as well. That's going to really help with this corvette spam. Slow him down and let this destroyer get in and wreck some face here. Big battle still going on, but it looks like Tren is creeping his way ever forward with so many corvettes. I'm going to have to go over and pop a look at that side of the field. We do have multi-gun corvettes now, and that is going to be absolutely devastating for this interceptor spam, which has fought its way all the way back to Tren's carrier. Tren holding out now with mass multi-gun corvettes and light corvettes, and with these multi-gun corvettes on the field, these interceptors are going to get absolutely destroyed. So Avatorian with some nice mass interceptor aggression pushed Tren all the way back to his mothership, or his flagship, pardon me, and he is going to hold this definitely. Avatorian now being forced into retreat, and on the other side of the map, Tom's destroyer is now into the fray, and it is going to absolutely brutalize these forces of Stormcat. So a beautiful play by Tomcat. He did lose that one carrier, this other carrier being slowly damaged, but Avatorian or Stormhawk's forces are slowly going to bleed out now that this destroyer and these torpedo frigates are on the field. Looks like Avatorian wants to take this carrier out. He's focusing the carrier down. He knows he can't really do much against the destroyer and these torpedo frigates. So he wants to try and get this carrier down and make it worthwhile to push this, buy himself some time. What has he got backing this up? More multi-gun corvettes and more heavy corvettes, as well as attack bombers. Good choice. But he's going to eventually need something to deal with all of these frigates and this destroyer, because currently it's basically hard countering Stormhawk's build. We do have some support coming across the map in the form of ion cannon frigates from Avatorian. We'll look to do a little bit of damage perhaps on that destroyer, but I think a better target would be these torpedo frigates personally. 2 ion cannon frigates cannot kill a destroyer, not even close. Man, this has been a fantastic game so far. Oh, they are gonna go after the destroyer, actually. But that destroyer's missiles are going to be pretty devastating. Whoa, some camera fuckery here, pardon me. Let's just get some nice view of this combat. So it looks like Tren is doing a counterattack on the opposite side of the map, pushing his advantage with that massive number of corvettes, and gonna put a little bit of pressure back onto Avatorian, so swing things in Team 2's favor just a little bit. Wow, shockingly, there has been a pretty decent amount of damage put just by these 2 ion cannon frigates. 3 ion cannon frigates now onto Stormhawk's destroyer. Does he have another destroyer on the field? No, he's got a bunch of torpedo frigates, currently 3 torpedo frigates, a ton of interceptors, and just this one destroyer. So holding on. Where did that shipyard go? Did I miss? Oh, it's right in front of my face. Pardon me. So the shipyard is actually going to get focused now a little bit. That other carrier did not get destroyed either, so still just the one carrier lost, and Stormhawk has been forced into retreat, and Avatorian now on the opposite side of the map is in big trouble. We have got a ton of light corvettes and multi-gun corvettes pushing Avatorian all the way back, and he has nothing to answer this except for fighter spam interceptors. So the numbers are there. Avatorian can hold this. He's going to need some perhaps torpedo frigates or something. What does Taidan have that counters corvettes? Is it going to be that? I don't know. I don't really play Taidan, so I have no idea. But I'm pretty sure they basically mirror Kushan. So I think they have some sort of frigate, missile frigates perhaps, that counter these corvettes. Currently he's got a couple of ion cannon frigates sitting back and just pouring their fire into the corvettes, slowly picking them down, while this giant swarm of interceptors screens for them and floods Tren's forces with overwhelming numbers. Nice combat going on both sides of the map as well. Tren now supporting his light corvettes and multi-gun corvettes with attack bombers. I mean, there are a ton of interceptors, but it's just not enough with all of these corvettes on the field. They're not going to be able to do enough damage, and they're going to take a ton of damage, especially from these multi-gun corvettes that Avatorian is going to need to get something on the field. And ooh, good grief, a missile destroyer. That can definitely counter all of those corvettes, as well as frigates, that's for certain. Can it counter corvettes? Is that true? I know that missile units typically counter corvettes, but this is a missile destroyer. I know those are quite good against frigates as well as capital ships even. So is that going to be enough to deal with these corvettes? Can the missiles hit those targets? We are going to find out. What is that? A research ship? So Tren's sticking with bombers and light corvettes and multi-gun corvettes, while Avatorian sticks to mass interceptors, a couple of ion cannon frigates, and a missile destroyer. How's the combat going on the other side of the field? It looks like Tomcat is pushing back. He held that massive push by Stormhawk, and he is now pushing back with more and more interceptors. So these Hagaran interceptors doing pretty well, backed up by that destroyer. Oh god, the destroyer is right on top of Stormhawk. Is there anything he can do about it? There's torpedo frigates backing it up, as well as mass interceptors. So this has proven to be a very, very strong Hagaran build. He utterly destroyed his opponent in the last game that I cast, which was a 1v1. He took on Algol, and with some nice interceptor spam into basically this exact same build, forcing corvettes with interceptor spam, countering that with torpedo frigates into a destroyer rush, and was able to close out the game very early. And now it looks like Stormhawk is struggling with that same build. Does not have any units on the field that can currently deal with this. Actually, he's lost the majority of his units. Avatorian doing a good job of supporting him, though, with a bunch of ion cannon frigates on the other side of the map. Currently, they are a little bit out of position, though, and are coming under attack from constant interceptor spam. Looks like Stormhawk is in a lot of trouble. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, this giant fucking battle. This is a crazy battle. This has been going on this entire game. Now we see the missile destroyer. I absolutely love these ships. Look at this thing. Coolest looking Titan ship, in my opinion. Just looks so beastly. Look at it unload all of those missiles. Looks like it is actually doing a really, really good job of dealing with all of these corvettes. Still multi-gun corvettes, light corvettes, interceptors, and that's about it from Tren. Tren is going to need some capital ships or something to deal with this missile destroyer. Really nice play coming out from Avatorian. I do like this, using those ion cannon frigates to support his teammate on the opposite side of the map, who's in deep shit right now, while at the same time using his lone missile destroyer as well as mass interceptor spam to deal with Tren. So some beautiful multitasking coming out from Avatorian. I like this play a lot. Are these ion cannon frigates going to be able to hold this destroyer at bay? It looks like they are. Look at this number of ion cannon frigates doing a ridiculously good job of putting out so much damage onto that destroyer. This destroyer might even go down, actually. Oof. Too many ion cannon beams for that destroyer to deal with, and it is going to go down. Beautiful play from Avatorian. Meanwhile, he has another missile destroyer. Oh no, that's Stormhawk. Awesome. Stormhawk has a missile destroyer. That's weird. How the hell did that happen? Do Kushan have missile destroyers? Apparently they do. That's news to me. I didn't even know that. I thought that was a Titan only unit, so that's kind of shocking. Anyway, beautiful missile destroyer coming out from Stormhawk, and with support from Avatorian's ion cannon frigates, as well as some interceptor spam from Stormhawk, they are going to hold. A second destroyer hits the field for Tomcat, and his torpedo frigates have all been cleaned up. His destroyer was cleaned up, and his interceptors have been cleaned up as well. So beautiful hold from Team 1 here. That was a really, really clutch defense. That missile destroyer came out probably just in time, and all of those ion cannon frigates were invaluable. So again, beautiful play by both players. This has been a fantastic game, the best one I have cast yet, and so I'm really excited about this. This map is also so cool. I just love the look of it. We do have a little bit of lag. Apologize for that. What does Tomcat have? He currently just has a single destroyer and a bunch of interceptors, which are desperately trying to hold off these interceptors while this destroyer buys time for Tomcat to get something else on the field. He does have a shipyard, so are we going to see a battle cruiser appear at just the right moment to hold this? Currently, though, the ion cannon frigates from Avatorian are pushing onto the shipyard, and it is going to start taking damage in a very, very big way. What are these interceptors? Just a lone, badly damaged torpedo frigate. Oh my goodness, is this shipyard going to go down? It's going to take a while, so I think if they keep focusing this destroyer can probably take out this number of ion cannon frigates. It most certainly can before that shipyard goes down. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, what have we got? We have a second missile destroyer on the field for Avatorian, and it looks like he has lost the bulk of his forces. Pretty much all of his interceptors were destroyed, and likewise, though, all of the corvettes for Tren have been destroyed, and Tren does have a missile destroyer on the field, backed up by a couple of light corvettes and a few interceptors. Enough to hold this? I don't know. We have 2 missile destroyers versus 1 missile destroyer. Tren is going to want to get some attack bombers or some ion cannon frigates to back them up for a little bit of damage here. There we go. What is that? There we go. Beautiful. An ion cannon frigate and a missile destroyer from Tren hitting the field. They are going to start putting their damage onto Avatorian's missile destroyers, which are currently targeting these interceptors, which is the wrong target. They want to target these units, otherwise they are going to get taken down. Perhaps Avatorian's focus is on the other side of the map. Beautiful play by Tren, keeping himself in the game. However, we do have support from some more ion cannon frigates coming back from Avatorian. And so Tren is outgunned on this side of the map. He's not out of it just yet. More ion cannon frigates streaming out onto the map, more interceptors, as well as even some attack bombers now. So Tren is staying in this. I don't think Avatorian can close the deal. Back on this side of the map, Stormhawk is coming out with a destroyer as well as some more interceptors, putting the pressure on. Oh lord. We have 2 destroyers from Tomcat now. Is he going to be able to save the shipyard? Oh god, it is going to be so close. 3 destroyers, holy Christ. He needs to focus these ion cannon frigates like right now. Backed up by 2 torpedo frigates. This shipyard is dangerously close to going down. Let's focus on the proper unit here. Want to see if this shipyard goes down. The carrier's still alive, the shipyard's still alive, the Pride of Higara is still here, and it looks like Tomcat Xeno is going to hold it. Good grief, that was close. They almost took down that shipyard, but these 3 destroyers on the field now. There's really nothing that Stormhawk can do. He only has a destroyer and a few interceptors. Meanwhile, Tomcat Xeno has got 3 destroyers and a bunch of interceptors, so Stormhawk is going to get cleaned up. He must have lost that missile destroyer previously, and I missed that, focusing on the combat on the other side, so I do apologize for that. We have another destroyer coming out from Avatorian. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, it looks like Avatorian has been able to successfully contain Tren. He just has too much firepower in the form of a couple of missile destroyers backed up by a couple of ion cannon frigates. Looks like Tren, did he lose? No. Avatorian must not have any units in the dust cloud, so he has no vision, so Tren was able to use the dust cloud to survive. I don't think he lost that missile destroyer. It's still on the field. Looks like we have some repair corvettes even. That's nice. Repairing these damaged ion cannon frigates. Nice micro coming out from Tren. So we do have attack bombers, ion cannon frigates, and a missile destroyer. So Tren is not out of the game yet. He's actually very, very much in this game still. I would like to see some interceptor spam come out to flank one of these resourcing positions. That would take the pressure off him in a big way and force Avatorian back and allow Tomcat on the other side of the map to push his advantage, and he has a very, very big advantage indeed. This destroyer from Avatorian is almost toast. Actually, it is about to go down here in milliseconds. Boom, those mass interceptors backing up these destroyers is a pretty friggin' strong build. He does have 4 destroyers on the field now, backed up by 2 torpedo frigates and a mass of interceptors. Is that a 5th destroyer? Oh my god, 5 destroyers. Stormhawk is in a big, big amount of trouble here. Let's just watch these units move out across the map through the dust fields. A little bit of skirmishing going on between all of these attack bombers from Stormhawk, as well as a huge number of interceptors and destroyers. Stormhawk is in a ton of trouble right now. I just don't see... I mean, he held that last push with some really, really nice support from Avatorian. But this is a totally different ballgame. 5 destroyers screened by a massive swarm of interceptors. All there really is on the field for Stormhawk is attack bombers and interceptors. We do have a missile destroyer that's going to pop just in the nick of time, but all a single missile destroyer can do is buy time. There are 3 carriers on the field and a mothership, but not enough military units to hold this, I don't think. Avatorian does have a missile destroyer as well, but that is currently getting swarmed by the bulk of Tren's forces. We do have some attack bombers basically swarming the resource, or the research ship. Hey, that's kind of interesting. So a small wing of attack bombers going after Avatorian's research ship, while the bulk of Tren's forces on the other side of the map push into Avatorian. He does have his 1 missile destroyer. Whoa, got some camera fuckery going on. He does have his 1 missile destroyer backed up by a number of ion cannon frigates, forcing Avatorian to be unable to support Stormhawk on the other side of the map, which Stormhawk is in very, very bad times right now. He's got 5 destroyers right on his doorstep. It looks like Team 2 is going to come out of this swinging after some really, really nice back and forth. This game has been absolutely fantastic. Let's go check on this combat on the other side of the map. These 5 destroyers are just untouchable. They have destroyed all 3 now of... oh god, a marine frigate even. Is he gonna try? I want to see this. Oh, this almost never works. Marine frigates are shit, to be honest with you, compared to salvage corvettes, but he's going to have the marine frigate dock with Stormhawk's only remaining missile destroyer. Oh, the Marines are going to board the missile destroyer, storm the bridge, and take control of the ship, while all 5 destroyers just deliver a brutal hammer blow to Stormhawk's forces. I think Stormhawk is moments away from being destroyed. The Marine frigate... Oh, so there are 2 destroyers, a destroyer and a missile destroyer. The Marine frigate is going to get focused down, though, so beautiful response. Not enough time to take control of the bridge. And very, very nice response from Stormhawk, and so he's able to keep his destroyers in the field. But another Marine frigate going to try and dock with this destroyer now. Marines storming the bridge once again, but the frigate is, or the destroyer is destroyed before they can finish the job, so that Marine frigate is going to get focused down as well. More and more interceptors supporting these 6 destroyers now. Nope, 5 destroyers. That missile destroyer is toast, so Stormhawk is pretty much toast. There's nothing that he can do. His forces consist only of a couple of interceptors, and that's it. The rest of him has been laid to waste, and there is really nothing he can do now. Where is Avatorian? There he is. How is he not dead yet? I don't know, but Avatorian and Stormhawk are in a very, very desperate position. Wing of attack bombers cleaning up all of the resourcing from Avatorian, and Tren just massing up a pretty fearsome army. What does he have here? 2 missile destroyers, a bunch of ion cannon frigates, that looks like 8 ion cannon frigates, 9 even, and a number of attack bombers. So looks like Tren is gearing up just to push the final death blow onto Avatorian. Well, his teammate, other side of the map, brutalizes Stormhawk. Did I see lasers? I saw lasers. What were those from? Ion cannon platform even. That's interesting. So Tomcat Xeno brought his carrier forward and built some ion cannon platforms right outside of Stormhawk's territory, and with these 5 destroyers and a couple of ion cannon platforms screened by interceptors. What is going on? There is a ship coming out of Stormhawk's other ship, and it is going to be a carrier, but that is not going to prevent the utter destruction of his fleet, sadly. What's going on up here? Some interceptors from Tomcat. Let's get a nice view of this. Interceptors flying in formation over top of some very, very nice combat. There is no other game in the world that looks so unbelievably awesome. Really, there's nothing like having the camera panning around in 3D space as giant fleets engage each other in combat. I just love this game so much. So Stormhawk goes down in a spectacular explosion. His mothership has been destroyed, his forces laid to waste. His final carrier is seconds from destruction, and with it spells the end of Stormhawk. And there is not much else that can happen. We do have a last stand scenario coming down here from Avatorian. He's desperately producing missile destroyers, as well as ion cannon frigates and attack bombers to try and keep him in the game. Looks like that is pretty much the same composition that Tren has. So how long can Avatorian last? This has been an absolutely fantastic game, some incredible back and forth, and I have enjoyed this thoroughly. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as well, and as usual, I welcome your feedback. I got some really good feedback for the past couple of videos, so I decided to try this method of putting myself on one of the teams and scuttling so that I can see opposing teams in red and yellow instead of everybody as red. So that was a very, very good piece of feedback, as well as some feedback for camera control, unit strengths and weaknesses, and builds and compositions. So again, I really appreciate the feedback, guys. And as I start to cast more and more Homeworld Remastered, I welcome more and more feedback so that we can make these casts really, really awesome together. And I'm starting to get a little bit more comfortable with it, so hopefully they're improving, and I welcome, again, as much feedback as you guys can give me. And I hope that you guys have been enjoying these videos as much as I have, because I love casting this game. It gives me an opportunity to really focus on the spectacle of combat a little bit more up close and personal than I could if I was playing. So really, really fun time. Looks like these players are drawing it out just a little bit. Oh god, we have a battle cruiser on the field from Tomcat Xeno. Look at this magnificent unit. The Hagaran battle cruiser. A sight to behold. And with its presence on the battlefield, I think we are going to gear up for the final push of Team 2. Look at Tren's forces on the other side of the map. Good grief. What has he got? A destroyer, 2 missile destroyers, a ton of ion cannon frigates, backed up by some repair corvettes and attack bombers. Even some light corvettes coming out across the field. So this is a fleet. Tren bought himself the time he needed to get a pretty enormous fleet. Look at all these ion cannon frigates, man. Oh my god, this is going to be so cool. What a battle. The last stand of Avatorian, the valiant last stand. Avatorian's forces getting absolutely crushed. Able to take out quite a number of frigates though, which is pretty cool. But there is just so much firepower here. This is an unstoppable push. What a game. Oh god, what a battle to end this game off on. Look at all of these missiles, holy Christ. Oh boy, we've got the battle cruiser coming out with a savage flank. Hopefully we get to catch another glimpse of its ion cannon blasts, because they are awesome. There we go. Dual ion cannons, top and bottom. Absolutely devastating. Man, ion cannon frigates from Tomcat as well. Ion cannon platforms. Avatorian is just... Man, he played really well this game. I have to commend him for his play. Very, very good play. I was impressed with that. Being able to hold Tren as well as support Stormhawk on the other side of the map. All players actually in this game have played fantastically well. Very impressive stuff. So I want to give a big shout out to our players in this game. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I have enjoyed this immensely. What the heck was that giant explosion? I missed something cool there, unfortunately, but there we go. Avatorian's flagship goes down in a spectacular explosion, clearing out a bunch of those ships that were close by. So there we go. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did. I enjoyed it very, very much. So thank you to all players involved. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Smash a like, hit that subscribe, and I will see you for the next video.